just for giggles. We'll see what we do with it. You never know. Yeah. So what's new in everyone's worlds? Anyone have anything exciting to share? Don't make me start. Uh-oh. All right. Well, maybe I'll have to start then. I noticed something. So, I mean, I have some news. Dominic knows, but I'm holding that back a little bit. Still, I'm still reveling in it. But there's something that I noticed, which is really interesting around just allowing time. I think it was last week. There's been sort of 2 breaks where we've gotten sunny weather, and on one of them, I went upstairs and I shoveled the deck of snow, and got everything cleaned up, and actually put on my big parka and sat in the sun for a bit, and it was really cool. And my life is really not that busy. It's not that hectic. I don't have a lot of stress. I don't have things to escape from. And I found myself sitting up there and realizing that even taking those 15 or 20 minutes that it was away from a life that really isn't hectic was really nice. So just allowing myself to take a pause from nothing was really, really cool. And I was sitting there, and this is what makes the story kind of neat, is the opportunity that presented itself to notice stuff. Like I was sitting there, and the birds were chirping behind me. It was really neat. It was really nice. It was a glorious day. And then all of a sudden, the birds behind me just like whoosh, and there must have been, I don't know, 4,000 of them in the tree behind me. It was probably like 20. but in a split second, it went from the birds sort of twittering peacefully and me kind of appreciating that, to all of them just bursting into the air and disappearing. And this giant hawk appears. So this hawk had come in behind the birds. And I guess obviously that's what prompted them up into the air. And then it came to rest. It was probably like 20 feet from me. Like it was clear, and it was like I'm probably not on the screen anymore, but it was big. And it was just neat that that all of that sort of came about in that opportunity. And I tried to take a picture, and then it slowly looped away. It did a loop all the way around the end of the garden, and then came up between my house and the neighbors. It was really cool to watch. And it was just because I allowed myself 10 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes for no reason that I got to witness this amazing bit of life playing out around me. Like I've never seen a hawk that close, let alone in my backyard. I mean, I've seen lots of them on the highway, but this was it was right there. So anyway, that's something I thought I might write something about it, but now I've talked about it. But it was so neat that even taking the moments to just sit and do nothing, not as I gotta relax, or I have to de-stress, or there was no motivation other than, you know what, I'm just gonna go and do this. So there was something in it for me around just allowing myself to do something that I wanted to do, and something as simple as that. And it was just so cool. So there's my little story. That's one of my little noticings over since we've last spoken. I've got another one, but I'll let someone else have a chance. and if it falls on silence, then I'll share the other one as well. So what do y'all think of that?
You're making us want to be silent so we hear it, Michael. Why don't you just spill it? Because we're all curious as hell now, right? Are we or are we not?
Well, there's sort of a boring one, but which is that I got my ICF certification yesterday. I got it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Amazing.
I did the test yesterday. It took me 2 hours to do it and that was just like answer. So that's not even the other thing that I was going to share, because I don't actually have the certificate yet. I was going to wait till I got the certificate, and but the other thing that I kind of noticed that I thought was really neat was around sensitivity. And kudos to Dominic, well, and all of you in your own ways, but to Dominic around first making me realize the importance of caring about how you feel, and noticing when we start to shift away from that. And I'm starting to see how sensitive we actually have the capacity to get to not feeling good. So Julie had I don't know, it was a rough day at work, or I don't know, something happened at work, and she messaged me during the day and said, "Oh, you know, I'm having a stucky kind of day or whatever." And then you know, she messaged me later on and said, "Oh, you know, I feel great now." So it had passed, and I forget now. It must have been on a Sunday, yeah, because she came home and she came in the door, and this is all after having said, you know, the stuckness is gone. I feel great. And I said, "So, you know, how's the stuckness?" And in the second that I asked her, well, actually, let's put it this way. In the split second before I asked her about the stuckness, I noticed that it didn't feel good to ask. I mean, I'm not good enough to catch it yet because I did ask, but it's like just noticing that even how unnecessary it is to go back into something, even for just what I would consider just for shits and giggles conversation. Oh, so how's your stuckness? Oh, you know, you told me it's gone, but how's the stuckness? And it's the first time, and there's actually two occurrences of that in the last couple of weeks, but it's the first time where I've noticed that subtly that no, this doesn't feel good. It was really neat. Like I don't know. I mean, I'm rambling a little bit, and you know, you guys make it might be this might be commonplace, but for me, it was very clear and very distinct. It was the first time that I sort of noticed, in almost a precursive kind of sense, that where I was about to go was not making me feel good, and it was so subtle. It was so small, but I noticed it. Next time I won't act on it, or I will act on that noticing. But anyway, so those are my two sort of shares that I have. So and now I'm going to be quiet for a little bit and see what everyone else has to say. And
I'm gonna,
oh,
sure, I
no,
was
yeah,
gonna jump in. Damn
oh
it,
yeah,
you're
no, no,
not
no, no.
done.
No, I was just gonna say, you know, welcome to the people that haven't been on here before, and just that it's a very relaxed and very kind of, you know, free conversation, unstructured, I guess. So Anita, take it away.
I love unstructured. I love what you started the conversation out with, Michael. This, and for me, I'm living into more and more of this, just being aware more and more of the time. And what I see is so much more. What I experience is so much more. And mixed in with that, I've been following Sadhguru lately. I've
Oh
been
yes.
studying Sadhguru because I never do anything half-assed when it comes to spirituality. I like dive in and like, what is this all about? And so he one of his posts this morning, or his daily whatever, was about being, are you entangled in life or
Mm,
involved in life?
mm,
And I just thought that was such a brilliant distinction, because I spent 50 some years being entangled in my life, and involved now feels kind of like allowing all things, not taking it on, not getting stirred up in it. And I feel like I know that I'm empowered to do more, whether it's with my clients or my family or myself or whatever. When I step back from the entanglement of it all, it's just, you see everything different. You're not taking it personal. You're not taking it on. You're not pushing against it. You're meshing with things and allowing them to mesh, but not become. Does that make sense? Like, become more you. It's like you're separate from that, and yet you're one with it. It's just such a cool feeling. That's it. I'll.
that's awesome. Oops, hold on. No, I'm unmuted now. Yeah, no, that's awesome. What else? What did you hear in that, everyone? It was, sorry, it was entangled and involved was the distinction. Is that that's the language that he used? What does everyone else think about that? How do you guys see that? I'm going to call on someone in a second. Mark's always good for a soundbite. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Um, it's for me, it's about seeing where you're at and noticing your involvement in life. Because are we ever aware that we're entangled? Yeah, that's what's just come up for me.
Yeah, I kind of get a sense of what I heard a little bit in what you were saying, Anita, for how it resonates with me is that it felt like you were describing the times that we know we're part of everything, and still having a perspective to I don't know, almost uh, what's in my brain right now is just that it's like the moment where you see both I don't know what I'm trying to say here, that you can like appreciate it both as separate and distinct from you, but also knowing that it's all of what you are. It's like both at the same time almost. I don't know. I mean, that's what's in my head. If anyone else, I mean, please.
I just want to add on that, Michael. So yeah, that's what it feels like to me. But with that is this, I don't know if it was December's roundtable, and I don't even remember who, but they were talking about how they like became the oneness. Do you guys remember that conversation? And I think for me, there's part of this is the realization that I am that one. I am the creative life force.
Mm.
And when I move from that, and it's not always, but it is becoming more, there's nothing to fix. And yet the way I be in a experience that I used to get entangled in, all of a sudden it becomes unraveled in and of itself, and I didn't do anything. It's just the way I showed up. And that's the empowerment piece that I mean, that I speak to. So I don't know if that helped.
Oh, that was very abrupt. What do you think? Oh, Bruce is looking like he's thinking. Yeah, Martine, please. Yeah, feel free to just talk. I mean, the group is, I don't know how many people, how many we got here now.
For me, entangle is to force things, no, to try things, because be more driven, and involve is just let things flow. And I've noticed in the last week that I'm more entangled than involved. I'm very driven. I'm in about 5 or 6 courses at the same time.
Jeez.
Plus, I have a full
What's new, Martine?
client, and I'm walking the Camino now. Like yesterday, I hurt my knees, but one knee is about twice the size of the other, but I still walked 6.5 kilometers yesterday while
Oh,
listening
cool.
to a webinar. Anyway, so and I've noticed that I should just, well, in April when all those shit is finished, I will, I, I will, I need to be more involved and entangled, and to let things, no, not be so driven. No, I'm more like, I'm an 8 on the Enneagram. I'm a D, like almost off the chart on the disc, a Leo. So people can be all emotional in their own time, but we have a task to do. Let's do it. And I've noticed I don't have to do that anymore. And yeah, like Sadhguru said, be more involved and just let things go. And that, oh, now I feel like doing this, let's do that. But for the, well, most of the things I get involved, it's because I was curious about. So that's another story. but to go more, to listen to myself more.
Oh, there we go. So when you say listen to yourself more, who are you describing? I'm not trying to be difficult with that question. I mean,
No. The true self.
Hmm.
Instead of the ego self. Oh, that looks good. Oh, let's try that. Oh, maybe I should try this thing too, because maybe I'll learn something. No, I need to learn more. I need to know more. So there's part of it that's I'm involved in those things. Some of it is by curiosity, and some other is because I need to know more. And do I really need to know more? No, I should, like Elsie, when Elsie said, no, it's always the same people in the webinars. I don't want to see you anymore. No. And she has a point.
So what's your point? Oh, am I muted?
Well, the point is that instead of going to all those webinars and all those courses, just live.
Where'd it go? Carmel says, guess same as be in life or not of life or not in life. Yeah. I wonder if part of the entanglement then that you're sort of describing, Martine, is the expectation of an outcome rather than just doing something for pure curiosity. I mean, if that's, that's how it's felt to me sometimes.
No, because one of the things I'm on CTI and CTI writer, so I decided to have two different projects, and I went for the CTI and went for the CTI writer instead of it should be like just one for both. No, because why make it life easy when you can be complicated? Anyway, so but it was for the fun of it. No, you're not supposed to succeed, right? Terry, you're not supposed to succeed your projects. And I decided just to have fun with it and see what happens. So there are stuff that I do for fun, but others is the outcome is to learn more. So there's a mix of both.
Right. Huh.
Even CDI, you should learn something, to trust life and just to trust the unknown. So there is some learning even with the CTI. Like I wanted to do like the CTI writer, I was going on one direction. And this week I decided I felt like doing another direction. And I just went to the other direction just to see what happens. And it was fun. So there is stuff. So see, I'm learning to trust that maybe I should go to another direction, but it's also for fun.
It's amazing how quickly we can pivot, when we're not entangled, like when we're open to possibility. It's just so easy to change directions, to notice that we want something different. What else have we got today? Leonard, how are you, sir?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Well, thank you. I'm good. Good to see you.
Likewise.
Yeah. I saw Richard jump in as well. So, hey, people that are on screen number 2 that I can't see right now. So what else have we been noticing lately? Don't make me call on Dominic. Dominic always got something. There, Lynn.
Yeah, it's on the same topic actually that what we're talking about is Marnix wrote something. I love his writing. He's an incredible writer. He wrote something that I saw today. I was still lying in bed, actually grabbed my phone. It was one of the first things that I saw, and it's actually really in alignment with what we're talking about. So he wrote this blog post about like doing nothing, like just like not having any agenda, and just living life intuitively. And it dawned on me that I actually do that a lot. Like, I have my part-time job that I go to, and I know that I have to do that at some point during the day. But like, relatively a lot of the time, I just like, I don't have an agenda. I just get up and I move through the day intuitively. And at the end of the day, I could lay in bed and reflect back on my day, and I've got a lot of cool shit done, even though I didn't have an agenda. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention that.
It's cool. It's like humans humaning. Like, what are we doing? We're just being humans.
Yeah.
Moving through. I know that feels very free, Lynn. That's cool.
Yeah, but I never used to be like that. I used to always have to get up. Okay, I got to do this, and this, and I just don't do that anymore.
What are you noticing as a difference? Like, how is it?
It's freedom. Freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Lynn. Appreciate that. What else have we got? Lots of thinking going on. Either that or glazed over boredom. I'm not sure. Bear, I caught you smiling there. Bear, do you have something for us? Do you have something to share for us?
It's Bruce, just to relieve you, Michael, of your just coming back to the original phrase, being entangled versus involved in life. To me, it's just, it's using language to describe stuff, and it's always falls short of what you need to describe. But I like those words. Those words do resonate. I mean, entangled, I immediately get this image of being tied up in ropes or trying to untangle the hose or your earphone cord, it's always entangled. And that comes from a judgment of it's wrong, okay? And it's slowing me down, plugging in my earphones, if you judge that as wrong, versus the exact same situation of being involved with, it just doesn't matter, and you just untangle it, and it goes a lot easier than when you're fighting and ripping and tearing at it, and so it's just a lot. To me, it's a question of, it implies a judgment of something wrong, which is always ends badly, and then fighting it to make it right, to do something to make it right. Whereas you can achieve the exact same thing and untangle the earphones, and it just flows. You don't judge it as wrong, and you don't get upset about it, and you don't fight it and rip at it. And it's kind of an analogy for life. Facing the exact same situation and having judgment and fighting it versus accepting it as is and being involved in the flow. To me, that's what those words bring up in mind, and we can all think of endless examples, but they do resonate for me. The entangled one, especially, I immediately get this image of being fighting with the garden hose or whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, no, thanks, Bruce. Totally. Yeah, that there's something about being an active participant in life rather than being acted upon by life, or having the view that you're being acted upon.
For me, I'm thinking about this, and I picked up my daughter from the airport on Sunday, so last week.
Oh, she's back already.
She'd been off to California for a bit, and my kids. So she's 22, my son's 19, and they both decided not to continue on with university, and go into that, and now I'm starting to see this thing around, like, with them. Even I've shared before about my mom who's 93, and so as you're talking today, I'm starting to think about what's involvement in my life and these important people in my life, and entanglement. Hadn't really thought about it like that before, but because even like I think about my kids, and I think about, should I be providing more guidance, like more, which just means, should I control this more to the way I think it should be, right? But it shows up like am I being like good as a father? Is it being too detached? Isn't it interesting that this, involvement, entanglement, I'm involved, I care, but then entanglement seems to slip over into some sort of control. I think it's most obvious. If I think about with my mom, that if it's like, it shouldn't be like this, it shouldn't be this way, as I notice, some dementia and stuff that starts to come, and I'm so against it, like, that's not how this should be. And I sort of and so there's something there. It really is like a navigation, balancing in and out. Like, you don't want to be like, well, that's fine, no, I'm detached, I'm good. However it is, right? Which takes you out to no involvement at that point, almost like the observer of it. But I'm not here to be the observer of my kids to see what happens, and the observer of my mom either. I do want, so there is a great distinction. I want involvement. I want to be like with them. And then it can slip to entanglement if I'm trying to control it, or parts about it that aren't good, or something that I need to change and clean up or something. I think then this is where you get into the mud. So anyway, that's what I was thinking as people were talking.
Yeah, I like that, Dominic. That and how easy it is to slip into entanglement, and I love what you said about wanting to have involvement, and the piece about detachment and almost going too far out. I mean, you don't want to become an observer either. That just all like, oh, cool. Huh. Yeah, how far out can you go before you're, just no longer involved? Like, I'll stop thinking out loud.
Can I just say something about what Dominic just said?
Please, Linda.
Like, I used to feel the same way about my kids too, Dominic, often. I've got 3 sons, and they're all in their 20s, and they live all over the world. None of them are here where I am, but I used to think that I wasn't getting involved enough with them as well in big decisions. And then I thought, well, they're on their own path, and they have their own wisdom, and they have their own their own beliefs, and something is leading them down the journey that they're on. And so I kind of like, once I realized that they have their own inner wisdom, just like you do and I do, and so I just kind of, I've just left them, haven't left them alone. Obviously, I care very much about them, but do you know what I mean? Like, I've just sort of left to their own devices, really, and they can make their own decisions. They're adults. And so,
Yeah, Lynn, that's cool. And it kind of goes back to when Martine said about learning, the fact that you can't be involved in life, you can't be engaged in life without learning. So that's also an interesting distinction, because when you say, oh, I need to learn things, I've got to, like, even, oh, in my business, boy, I need to learn more about social media, or so I'm going to do this course and that, right? Which then starts to get into a chasing of things, right? I don't know enough. But just your involvement in life is teaching you, right? So the learning, Abraham says the learning's inevitable, right? That you're in life and growth is inevitable, learning is inevitable. So there really doesn't need your attention. It doesn't need you to say, I've got to learn stuff. It's inevitable, like it will become apparent. So with our kids, and when I see that, and what you said is, well, of course they're going to learn. Like, they're going to learn as they live. Like, so that's another one where it's like, well, they don't need me to teach them. And words don't teach anyway, so they're not gonna be listening. If that ever worked, then what our parents said to us, we would have learned, right? so we got lots of example that doesn't work. So yeah.
I wonder, how do you...
Hey, Mike, I wanted to say something off of Dominic's comment there.
Oh, please, Leonard, go ahead. Yeah.
So I just recently I'm saving for a house, and so I've moved back in with my mother, who's 82, and it's interesting. My brother lives across the road. It's interesting how do I say this? I mean, I'm in the same house as her, and it's interesting trying to live with her, and I try to have at least one meal with her, so we're having this quality time for me and her at the end of her life. It's very important that I spend that time with her. It's also interesting to see how she's getting older, and she forgets things. So I'm that little bit of a, and it's kind of, it's like, well, when as a child looking at a parent, I'm thinking, well, I'm a man now, I can't, and I'm like, well, and all of a sudden my mom will say something, and I'm gonna go, oh shit, she's right. It's
keep getting
like,
smarter.
Oh, oh yeah, she'll say something, and I'll go, yeah, Mom, and I'll think, holy crap, where'd she come up with that? Like out of nowhere, be between, I don't know, making a dinner or something, and she'll say something, and it's like, okay, cool. And it's just it's learning to, I guess I'm learning to, I'm enjoying being her son and allowing her to be, and not telling her what to do and trying to and my brother comes over, and he uses words like, well, you have to teach her this, you have to be on. And I'm going, well, like, if that's how you choose to interact with our mother, I don't agree with that. I think she's an 82-year-old woman. This is her house. She's deserved the right to do what she wants to do. But then, living there for just over 2 months now, it's like, wow, seeing, God willing, I hope I get to live to be that age and I'm as with it as she is. And it's just miraculous to see how we can get entangled in each other's lives. And then it's almost like feels like life sort of goes like this, and my shoulder goes, and I'll just shut up. And it's like that moment of and I'm back with my mother, and you know, and I'm witnessing this woman at 82 just say and do things, and it's like, oh, like just now I was at her house, and I left, and she was baking a cake, and she was worried about, did I put the right amount? I said hi to her, and apparently when I said hi to her, she got a little ticked off because she didn't know if she put enough baking powder in the cake mix when she was about to mix it up. But it was just, again, and I could have got all in my head about it, and I went, well, Mom, if it doesn't work out, you know, you can always make another one, or I can buy you one. But it's just interesting experiencing people in your life and from a different point of view, and seeing those nuggets of wisdom from someone that you never really paid much, never really thought about. Like, I know my mom's smarter than me, I know that, but to actually relive it again as an adult, it's quite fascinating.
Yeah, cheers, Leonard. I don't know, what just sort of came to mind was that it becomes entangled when we make it about us. You know, like if Dominic's looking at his, I'll speak of my own mom, she's 85, and she still has her faculties, lives on her own, still does everything, and still proud to do it. But little by little, I'm starting to notice that she's getting older. And that's only problematic. That seems to only be problematic for me, right? It doesn't seem to be problematic for her. It's problematic for me. And it's when I start to see this as problematic that it, well, I mean, we've been using the word entangled, that we get entangled. Richard, what are you? Like, dude, I feel like I'm watching like a 1980s video, like on MTV or something there, boss. Richard, you have your hand up, please, sir.
It's the joy of walking around with a GSM. That's the thing.
With a GSM?
A GSM, mobile, iPhone.
Gee, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. European wording.
Gotcha.
Interesting what everyone's been sharing about, especially for mothers and entanglement with that, but as Dominic shared about his children, etc. My experience of that entanglement, even with my mother, was interesting because before she passed away, most people know, I went to see her, and my partner and I, we spent like 4 days with her. And what I really got from hearing from everyone there was, it was okay if she was like, you know, if she was tired, or she went in one of her dementia or Alzheimer kind of moments where she didn't know where she was or what she was doing, etc. It was okay. It was strange to see that and to feel that, but at the same time, it's as though I just had to be there and just enjoy the moment with her and not to control it. Yes, I had to control if she's walking off and talking to every Tom, Dick and Harry in the supermarket, but just kindly just taking her by the hand and say, come on, Mom, let's go and get another bag of biscuits now and stuff like that. But there was no control. And that moment of that freedom of having that with her was so great. It was just a wonderful experience because you just don't get that, or we don't see it. I never saw it before. And then 4 days that I spent with her, it was like I'd been there for 4 weeks. We both literally had slowed down to the present moment, her moments, her presence. If she wanted a cup of tea, she'd have a cup of tea. If she wanted to sleep, she wanted to sleep. You know, it was that presence of not being entangled and trying to control the situation of her, knowing that she had all her problems, but actually just enjoying that moment with her. That's what I got from not being entangled with my emotions, my thoughts about, oh, she needs help, she's 87, she's cuckooed, etc. But she was just laughing all the time. And it was just amazing to see that. And then moments, as most of you know, that moment where she had that 20-minute window of pure connection with me,
Mhm.
you know, that just stays with me, because that was just imprinted basically in my heart of, there was I just wanting to be with her, and she was opening up with no control, just pure presence, pure love, pure whatever we wish to say it to be. But that connection for that 20 minutes was just no entanglement, no control with her and her feelings. She was just letting go of everything that was there. And that was the beauty of, as we see now, and as I see with my children, that entanglement. I like sometimes to, yeah, and I do control them, and I do say things sometimes, but then I'm like, oh, you know, it's like the alarm bells. It's automatic sometimes. We automatically do it. That's what I shared. It's like driving an automatic. And it's just picking that up, as everyone knows. It's just picking that up and just seeing that for what it is. So there you go. I'll go back to smiling and.
Cheers, Richard. Thank you, man.
My pleasure.
Cool.
That was beautiful. And yeah, sorry, I joined a bit late, but I've sort of picked up on the thread, and it's just lovely to hear such heartfelt conversations. And it just, I suppose I had a little moment there where it suddenly hit me, the people that were not entangled with, or having those entangled thoughts that have passed in my life, where I'd reached that stage with them. It just hit me that I can think about them in a loving way and feel a warmth, but not be upset, and just enjoy that true connection that you'd made with them. And in particular, it was my nan, and I was going through a period of unemployment, and she was a bit ill, and then she'd had a fall. But prior to that, I'd sort of taken over the main duties of making sure she was being cared for. So meeting social services and the other people involved and that sort of thing. And the more that I just allowed her to be my nan, and when people said she's drinking a bottle of whiskey a week at the age of, what was it, 89, that's wrong. She shouldn't be doing that. And I just said, I think if my nan wants to do it, she can do it. She's earned it at 89. If she wants to eat biscuits, at least she's eating something. Nan, if you want to get up and start dusting at 2 o'clock in the morning, just do it. Yeah. Just please remember to wear your bracelet. So if you fall over, we know we can come and get you. But you do whatever you want. And I had the wonderful time I spent with her, and then she passed away. She'd had a fall, and had pneumonia, overcame it, or seemed to do. And you know, I think we got called in 3 times to, you know, come and see her for the last time. Usually in the early hours of the morning. It's funny, that, isn't it? And 3 times they went, I can't believe she's made it through. And then yeah. But sorry, I'm losing it there. But the thread was that I'd had that time with her where there was no entanglement. She wasn't just my nan. She was a human being. I listened to her talking about her past and the history, and just allowed her to be her, without making any judgments or challenging anything, or, you know, even when you knew it was totally wrong and she was, you know, just off on a bit of a little trip of her own. But it was true for her, so why challenge it? And it just hit me listening to the other people, the people that I've lost in my life that I didn't have that entanglement with. I can really sit and remember the good times, and the love and the compassion and the connection that was there with them. The ones that I had entanglement with, it's a completely different story. And I think if you can go into your coaching with no entanglement, you don't see them having a problem, and, you know, all the other things that many coaches take in with them, I think that you end up in that beautiful zone where you are present with them, and because they know that you're not entangled with them and you're not telling them what to do, I think that's when they do hear the words, Dominic. I think that's when the words do matter. But it has to be with that feeling and in that right condition. It has to be a whole, the holistic side of it. You know, you can't fake it. You certainly can't fake the whole point. You know, every point of it. And it was the same when I was a salesman. If you went into a meeting and in your head you were like, I've got to make this sale, it's end of the month, it's a bit tight. Or you go in and think, oh, they've been messing me around for 2 years, because I dealt with consultancy and you were bringing solutions to problems people had. So you didn't just go in and make a sale on the first visit sort of thing. You had time to build that relationship, but you'd be like, oh, come on, it's taken ages now. And it wouldn't work. But the ones I went in just being me, yeah, what can we do for you? Didn't care either way. There's no entanglement in my thinking before I go in. Came out with the sales. So yeah, it's amazing how it transfers from all different parts of your life. And I think entanglement, because at first I was like, what on earth are they going on about entanglement? What did I miss? And it's back to me to being a busy mind. So it's all part of the principles. So people try and drag us away from them, but it's still part of the principle. You can go on and waffle on and do this and do that. It still comes back to the principle about being present, not judging, open mind, and making that connection with human beings on a soul-to-soul basis. And when they know that you're not judging them and you've got no axe to grind, it's amazing how much they trust you. So when you chase it and you have that entanglement that you've got against somewhere, it always goes the opposite way. So yeah, all our lives we're trained, aren't we, and programmed. We have to do more, we have to learn more, we have to be better, we have to be, you've got to do. And it is often when we do less that we achieve more.
Cheers, man. Yeah, that was beautiful. That was just beautiful to listen to, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, what I just sort of noticed is that we're all kind of, we've all been sharing in our own way the same thing, and there's such beauty in what's available to us, in disallowing, right, and not being entangled. Like I don't know, it's just, the human experience is just amazing. It is the coolest thing ever. Yeah, no kidding, man. Yeah, good.
I just really felt both Leonard and Richard, and it reminded me, my parents lived with me the last, they were with me a total of 2 years. And mom had dementia, and it's, you talk about entanglement. I got so entangled in the responsibility of caring for her and forgetting that she still knew. She still knew. And when I learned to let go of being responsible and ultimately being okay if she died, not taking that as I fucked up, kind of a thing. She did die, but it was in my letting go that she was able to live. And the other pieces, like her dementia, she probably had dementia for 10, 15 years. We were in denial for a good chunk of that in the beginning, like, oh, she just forgot, but it amazed me at the end of her life. And I didn't know this happened, but oftentimes people with dementia become really lucid at the end of her life. And she would, when Leonard was talking about his mom and how, wow, like she knew that, like that's how my mom got at the end. So I felt like I got a piece of my mom back. I felt like my mom went somewhere else. Who is this woman in my house? I don't know her. And then through the lucid moments, it's like, oh my God, she still does know. And there's my mom again. Like I could see pieces of her. And just that wisdom, like I love to sit with elderly people. One of my spiritual teachers was a elderly Native American, and he never told me what to do. He taught me so much. He never told me what to do. He would just throw out breadcrumbs for me and then watch me. And my kids were little when I started to study with him, and it helped me to do the same for them. So this old generation and this young generation, it's like we think as they get older, they don't know anything. And we think when they're young, they don't know anything. But they do. They just do. We just don't allow that in our thinking. We have to control it or fix it or whatever. So yeah, thank you guys for sharing. That was awesome.
Yeah, cheers, Anita. Yeah, thanks everyone. Well, we got about 5 minutes left. What else have we got today? What's burning a hole in you to throw it into conversation? Oh, thanks, Lynn. Lynn just wrote, loving the silence. Of course, then I responded and broke the silence. I was thinking the same thing, Lynn. I was actually noticing that it was comfortable, that it wasn't an uncomfortable silence, and sort of thinking that's kind of neat. Like the fact that we've got however many people are here, you know, in our various homes on various parts of the planet, all sitting quietly and seemingly, from my end anyway, comfortable in that. That's just cool, man. That is neat.
Just in a totally very relaxed, present, chilled, loved out feeling. Yeah.
Group hug.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe this is an appropriate time for us to go on about our days. It kind of feels like it to me. What do y'all think? Yeah. Got a thumbs up. Dominic's nodding. Couple of, yeah, cool. So for those of you that were here for the first time, welcome. Hopefully we'll see you again. I mean, this is kind of what they're like. Although today feels, is it possible that it feels even a notch more connected than they have in the past? Like this is groovy, man. All right, well then, love you all so much. I'm always so grateful for everyone being here. It's so cool. And yeah, for Carolyn just saying, you know, it's been beautiful. Thank you for those who shared. Mark, I feel involved with all of you. Yeah, thank you. No, cheers, Anita. Yeah, I'm still in awe that people show up. So it's so cool. Like, just wonderful. All right. Well, in that case, are we all good with this one being posted? I think I think other people might appreciate having an opportunity to listen to this one. So unless anyone has any concerns, I'll post it. We're good with that? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. All right, everyone. In that case, have an awesome rest of your days.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Michael.
Bye, guys.
Have a great day.
Great
Take care.
day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.